Hello, my fellow wizards! With the new Skeleton Key bosses King Boar and the Stay Puft Marshmallow coming out recently in the Spring 2021 update, everyone has been on the hunt for ways to get the elusive Skeleton Keys. I, for one, have been constantly running out of keys. I'll get you one way or another, Ratspin Spellmans. And so I've been looking more closely at the best and quickest ways to replenish my supply. For those who aren't familiar, Skeleton Key doors are secret, usually well hidden, and can only be opened with the appropriate key. Behind these doors are either strong bosses, usually with cheats at their disposal, or chests which can be opened for unique loot. There are 3 variants of keys and doors, each with different difficulty levels. From easiest to most challenging, they are wooden, stone, and gold. The key doors, bosses, and chests are sometimes hard to find, hidden out of the way or off the more traveled paths in regular dungeons, and the keys themselves tend to have a low drop rate and can be difficult to acquire. However, the rewards from many of these chests and bosses are some of the best in the game and well worth the cost. So today, I'm going to talk about all the different methods to get each of these keys and decide which ones I think are your best options. After all, no one wants to spend forever trying to farm for these things only to never get any drops.
Let me in! Let me in!
I do want to note that while I recommend farming for keys since it's free, you can sometimes buy them for crowns, as KingsIsle has had a few bundles recently where you can buy a few keys at a time. Keys can also be dropped from the Winterland pack, which is available during the winter holiday events, so if you're really sick of farming and have some crowns to spare, these are some potential alternatives. Alright, let's get started with the wooden skeleton keys. These keys open doors to the following bosses and chests: Krampus during the winter holiday events in Krampus Garden, in Kembelong Village, the door at the end of the Pagoda of Harmony, which leads to a chest, and the Temple Phantom in Hollow Mountain, in Barkingham Palace in Marleybone, Billy the Cutter in the State Wing, and a door which leads to a chest in the main hall, in Lower Zigzag, a door that leads to a treasure chest, in the Cave of Solitude in Mushu, Takanobu the Masterless, in Saverstead Pass, King Boar, in Old Town in Wizard City, Roberto, in Crab Alley, the Spirit of Ignorance, and finally in the Krokotopia Library, Ra and Sapoti. So, what are the best farming sources to get wooden keys to access these locations? Beginning in Wizard City are the bosses Bastia Gravewind in Firecat Alley, General Achilles in Cyclops Lane, the Kraken in Triton Avenue, Lord Nightshade in Haunted Cave, and Prince Cobblestone in Colossus Boulevard. It should be noted that the Kraken here is a boss that can be accessed even if you don't have a membership, so it is a great option for free-to-play wizards to grind. However, the drop rates tend to be pretty low for keys. All of the Wizard City bosses are good options for lower level players since they tend to be popular at the team up kiosk if you need help, and for higher level wizards these bosses are also easy to one-hit kill and repeat over and over rapidly for quick farming. Moving on to Kembelong Village, which can be accessed from Krokotopia, are Tsutsui, the last boss in the Pagoda of Harmony, and the Temple Guardian and Master Tonkatsu in Hollow Mountain, all of which drop wooden skeleton keys. For the Temple Guardian, be aware that this boss only appears if you fail the puzzle in the second half of the dungeon, which adds an additional fight. Make sure to check with other players before purposely failing the puzzle, since it can be annoying to some wizards. Up next is Marleybone, where all the bosses can be found within Barkingham Palace, the set of 3 dungeons intended for level 40 wizards. In the State Wing is the Woman's Right Hand, in the main hall you can find Chief Whip and the Noxious Gas Golem, and in the rooftop is Mr. Utterson and Mr. Poole, as well as Dr. Jackal. While the quests for these dungeons are available to wizards at level 40, be prepared for difficult battles, as many wizards at that level will struggle to defeat many of these bosses. If you're farming at level 40, I recommend getting a full team or a higher level wizard to help you out. Next, on to Mushu, where there are a number of different bosses that drop wooden skeleton keys. In the Crimson Fields is the War Oni, in Shirataki Temple is the Plague Oni, the Village of Sorrow has Oakheart, and in the Tree of Life is Nobunaga, Kagemusha, the Death Oni, and the secret boss Yokai. Finally, in the Jade Palace is the Jade Oni, who it should be noted can be respawned over and over again with the obelisk next to the Jade Champion for easy farming. Other creatures that drop wooden keys are the bosses from some of the one-shot dungeons, including the Crocopatra Rank 8 and Rattlebones Rank 7 Master Duels. These dungeons can be farmed from a number of different bosses, but be aware that they can be difficult to solo depending on your level, so you may want help with these. In addition, there are some various skeleton key bosses that actually drop replacement keys when you defeat them, although you obviously need a key to access them in the first place. Skeleton key bosses that can sometimes give a replacement wooden key include the Ether Elemental in Northeast Arrow Plains, Billy the Cutter in Barkingham Palace, Captain Hawkins in the Waterfront, Fellspawn in the Catacombs, King Boar in Saverstead Pass, all ranks of Krampus in Krampus Garden, Ra and Sapoti in the Crocotopia Library, Roberto in Old Town, the Spirit of Ignorance in Crab Alley, the Stay Puffed Marshfellow in the Nibelheim Mines, Takanobu the Masterless in Cave of Solitude, the Temple Phantom in Hollow Mountain, and the Verboten Mimic in Agrabah. In addition, some of the skeleton key chests will also give replacement keys, including the Lower Zigzag, Main Hall, and Pagoda of Harmony wooden skeleton key chests.
I use the stones to destroy the stones.
Interestingly, there are a few non-repeatable quests that give wooden skeleton keys as rewards, although unfortunately you can only get these once. These include Dog Gone Dug, a quest given at level 15 which has wizards delve into the Old Town drains, and the quest Unlocking the Truth given by Diego the Duel Master at early levels so wizards can defeat his brother Roberto. Do note with this last quest that you need the wooden key in order to complete the quest, since Roberto is locked behind a skeleton key door, so if you choose to save the key for a different boss, you won't be able to finish this quest. Finally, if you're into fishing and have access to Azteca, you can apparently fish for wooden skeleton keys in chests in 3 points, although I personally have had no luck getting any from there, so if you're really sick of farming bosses, this might be a nice alternative. My personal favorite farming spots for wooden keys have to be the Barkingham Palace rooftop, Oakheart, and the Jade Palace. I like the rooftop because 2 of the 3 fights there have a chance to drop wooden keys, including Mr. Poole and Utterson and Dr. Jackal, which means if you're lucky, you can get multiple keys on a run. Plus, the Barkingham Palace gear and wands are pretty cool and make for good stitches. I sometimes go for Oakheart because it's a very easy boss with low health that can be farmed rapidly for better chances at key drops. I also think the Jade Oni is a top choice because you can respawn it infinitely for quick and easy farming.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Up next are the mid-tier difficulty stone keys. These keys will allow you access to the following bosses: Krampus in the Krampus Garden during the winter holiday events, Simon the Sayer in Sunken City, Zizor in Lower Zigzag, Belash in House of Scales, Captain Hawkins in Waterfront, Lambent Fire in the Crystal Caves, Ixcax Cursed Wing in 3 points, and King Boar in Saverstead Pass. So where should you farm for the stone skeleton keys? Since these keys lead to more difficult challenges, you'll need access to higher level worlds to farm them. In Lower Zigzag are the bosses Cusbid and Malars, and in the House of Scales are Amit the Devourer, Apep the Snaky One, and Ist. These bosses are all good options if you're doing these dungeons anyway to get the level 60 Zigzag gear, which offers superior critical and damage to the Waterworks gear, while sacrificing some defense. Moving on to Avalon, there are quite a number of bosses that drop stone keys. In the High Road, you can find Kranich, the Fire Spitter, and the Jabberwock. In Caliburn is the Bane Worm. In the Wild are the White Talon Owls, Kayla, Kiva, and Keela. In Ghost Avalon is Young Morganth, and in the Outer Yard is the Pendragon. The 3 White Talon Owls can all be found in the same dungeon, White Owl Tower, if you only want to farm one location, but it should be noted that Kayla White Talon only spawns if the puzzle section inside is failed. Some key bosses that drop replacement stone keys if you're able to access them are the Ether Elemental in Northeast Arrow Plains, Belash in the House of Scales, Captain Hawkins in the Waterfront, Felspawn in the Catacombs, Zizor in Lower Zigzag, Ixcax Cursed Wing in 3 points, all ranks of Krampus in Krampus Garden, Lambent Fire in the Crystal Caves, Ra and Sapoti in the Crocotopia Library, Simon the Sayer in Sunken City, the Spirit of Ignorance in Crab Alley, the Stay Puffed Marshfellow in Nibelheim Mines, and the Verboten Mimic in Agrabah. The locked wooden key chest in Lower Zigzag can also give you a stone key upon opening it. For stone keys, there is one one-shot dungeon that will drop the keys, which is the rank 12 Meowiarty Archmage Duel. As I mentioned before, these one-shot bosses can be tough, so be prepared or bring friends to help you. I personally had the most luck getting stone keys by farming Lower Zigzag and the House of Scales, especially the House of Scales, for my level 60 damage gear, but I also had decent luck with the Jabberwock boss in Avalon. Though at first his cheats are intimidating, if you prepare properly, you can take advantage of the fact that one of his cheats involves placing a plus 200% trap on himself, which can be used for an easy knockout, so you can finish this battle each time in just a few turns.
That's a lot of damage!
Finally, the hardest of the keys, gold. These keys will allow you access to the following bosses and chests: Krampus in the Krampus Garden during the winter holiday event, Castle Darkmoor on the way up to the observatory where there is a chest, Bunferatu in the upper halls of Darkmoor, and Aphrodite 2 in the graveyard in Darkmoor. In addition, there is also Felspawn in the Fathomless Tomb, Omen Streebog in the River of the Frozen Tears, the Verboten Mimic in Agrabah, Corporal Tennyson in Xanadu, the Ether Elemental in the Northeast Arrow Plains, King Boar in Saverstead Pass, and the Stay Puffed Marshfellow in the Nibelheim Mines. Darkmoor itself contains the majority of bosses that drop golden keys. In Castle Darkmoor, there are Howling Chaney and Sir Blackwater. In the upper halls, you'll want to find Octang Wormcrawl, the Spirit of Darkmoor, or Shane von Shane. Finally, in the graveyard, your best bets are Yevgeny Nightcreeper, the second iteration of Shane von Shane, or Malistaire the Undying. These bosses are great to farm if you're already running Darkmoor for its excellent level 100 gear. With so many people running the dungeon, you shouldn't have too much trouble farming it consistently, although you might find yourself less frustrated if you team up with a trusted group of friends instead of a random team-up group. In Imperia, there is also one singular boss that's known to drop gold keys on occasion, Medulla. However, since this is the last boss in the first half of that world, be prepared for a difficult fight where you will likely need a team of other wizards to help. As with the other key types, some skeleton key bosses will allow you a chance at replacement keys once you have access to them. For gold keys, this includes the Ether Elemental in Northeast Arrow Plains, Aphrodite 2 in the Graveyard, Bunferatu in the Upper Halls, Captain Hawkins in the Waterfront, Corporal Tennyson in Xanadu, Fellspawn in the Fathomless Tomb, Ixcax Kurswing in 3 Points, all ranks of Krampus in Krampus Garden, Omen Streebog in the River of the Frozen Tears, Sapoti in the Krakatopia Library, the Verboten Mimic in Agrabah, and the Stay Puffed Marshfellow in the Nibelheim Mines. You can also get a replacement gold key from the Castle Darkmoor gold key chest. For one-shot dungeons, you have several options including the Krakopatra rank 14 Exalted Duel, the Meowiarty rank 14 Exalted Duel, the Rattlebones rank 7 Master Duel, the Rattlebones rank 14 Exalted Duel, and the Zeus Skyfather rank 14 Exalted Duel. As always, know these one-shot dungeons are hard, so be ready or bring some help with you. Finally, a side quest in the Catacombs that awards 1 golden skeleton key is the quest Tempest Fugitives, given by the Druid Ghost Warden. This quest also awards you some valuable alchemical salts and crystals for completing it, so keep that in mind. Unfortunately, for golden skeleton keys, the most obvious and easiest farming method is likely Darkmoor, which contains 3 fairly difficult dungeons. I've had the most luck getting keys by farming Graveyard, the most popular of the dungeons, but all 3 have bosses that drop the gold keys. The issue with Darkmoor is that it can be hard to get a full team willing to run the entire dungeon, since some people want to farm only specific bosses for gear. If you do end up farming here, I would highly recommend getting a team of friends to help you out. The keys do drop here pretty liberally, so if you only need a few, you shouldn't have to do too many runs.
Are you gonna miss your mom?
No.
No?
Alright, my fellow wizards, those are your best options for farming for skeleton keys. Just a reminder that these keys always tend to be somewhat rare drops, so don't get too discouraged if you start experiencing a farming dry spell. Keep farming or try mixing it up with a different boss if you get frustrated. You can also always keep an eye on the skeleton key tab in the team up kiosk to find other people willing to offer their key to open a door instead. In a group of 4, you only need 1 person with a key to open a door, so farming with a group of people with a lot of keys can net you some extra runs. Please remember to be polite and patient when using keys, and it's always nice to offer to open the next skeleton door if someone else just opened one for you. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. What skeleton key bosses are your favorite, and what gear do you find the most useful from them? As always, I hope to see you out there in the spiral, and happy questing!